Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Hollywood Joe from Hollywood's World of Sports. And today I come to you not as a sports blogger who writes and gives opinions about sports and pro wrestling. I come to you as a man that has survived 3 open heart surgeries because he was born with a congenital heart defect. I was born with a congenital heart defect in 1985. I was given less than a week to live, but by the good grace of God, I am still here. All my life, I have been a huge sports fan, a huge pro wrestling fan, even though I have never been able to physically compete in most of the sports that I love, was never physically be able to wrestle a match in the ring, but I still found ways to be passionate about sports and pro wrestling. And tonight I come to you um, as a congenital heart disease survivor. Um, it's hard to put into words. Uh, what I'm about to say was I wanted to come out the right way. All my life, throughout watching sports and pro wrestling, mainly WWE, you see the sports world um, raise awareness for things like breast cancer, colon cancer, pediatric cancer, diabetes, and other chronic illnesses and diseases. And I want to say I think that's wonderful. I think that's great. I think that's admirable. I think it um, does the world good to hear about those things. But the one chronic illness and disease that I have never heard about on TV is the one that I live with and many others live with as well. Congenital heart defects affect 1 in every 100 babies that is born. It is the leading killer among infants, and um, roughly 40,000 people or babies are born with it each year. And, in the 1980s, when I was born, you were still, it was still hit or miss. There was not a lot of research and not a lot of data. And um, you really didn't know if a baby with CHD would survive. Um, but as I've grown up, as I've learned more, as I've been through more, I've come to find out that, more babies are surviving. More people with CHD are living into adulthood, and they're having they're living the best life they possibly can. There are so many sports out there that run through the month of February. February is Heart Month. Congenital Heart Disease Awareness Week specifically is February 7th through the 14th. And there are a lot of sports going on in February. There's hockey, there's NASCAR, there's basketball, there's bowling, pro wrestling runs all year round. There are so many sports that have the opportunity to raise awareness for congenital heart disease and defects, but they don't. Um, my plea to people, and if you have, by the good graces of God, a professional athlete or somebody that works in a professional sports organization hears this, it's time to start acknowledging congenital heart disease and defects. And it's time to start raising awareness from it, because the biggest misconception about CHD is that if you have surgery, you're automatically cured. That is not the case at all. Um, there is no cure for CHD. There is none. Surgeries are a way to basically keep up maintenance on your heart, to make sure your heart is able to be as healthy as it possibly can be. Granted, we have come a long way since 1985 when I was born, but there's still a lot of work to be done. CHD is one of the least funded diseases, for research and development that I know of. You hear all this money that goes towards cancer research, diabetes research, ALS research, other chronic illnesses and diseases. And as I said before, that is great. That is wonderful. That is amazing to hear. But what about the millions of us now? And I'm sure it's in the millions. It has to be. There's probably 1 million people out there that have congenital heart disease in some way, shape, or form. What about us? When are people going to start speaking for us? And so I'm asking you, if you are a professional athlete, if you're a professional wrestler, if you work in the front office of a professional sports team or sports organization, please reach out to me, because I would love to sit down and have a conversation with you. CHD is not something that's easy to live with. It is a lifelong battle. We have lifelong challenges. We have lifelong obstacles that are put in front of us. And so I'm asking you, if you hear this, start doing some research on CHD. Start learning more about it. Because there are a lot of people out there that don't have a voice, that are living with CHD. And it's about time their voice is heard. I would love to see multiple athletes, multiple sports teams, multiple sports organizations. I would love to see them step up and openly speak about congenital heart disease. And the sad thing is, there is only 3 famous people I know of that have ever talked about or raised awareness for CHD. Greg Olson, who is a former tight end in the NFL, has a son with CHD. Professional snowboarder and ex-gamer Shaun White was born with CHD. And Jimmy Kimmel has a son with CHD. And granted, I appreciate their efforts. All 3 of those men have openly spoke about it and have done their best to raise awareness. But there needs to be more than just 3 people. So again, I am asking you, if by chance that you are a professional athlete, a professional wrestler, someone who works in a professional sports organization or team, let's talk. Let's talk, because congenital heart disease people that live with it deserve so much better than what they're getting. So with that being said, I'll end it how I always do. My name is Hollywood Joe from Hollywood's World of Sports, and controversy doesn't come without criticism.